come back around. But I just continued to work a lot, trying to keep my mind off of the drinking and the partying. So whatever shift my sister had to fill at work, I volunteered for it. At the end of August '07, I was working behind the fuel desk, just singing and cleaning, minding my own business. This guy came up to the counter to buy something. He took his glasses off, and oh my Lord, those eyes got my attention. A co-worker of mine gave him my number. I said, he will never. I said, we will see if he calls, and guess what? He did. After the one phone call in September, we started dating, and in February of '08, I married him. We had a beautiful wedding, and we were married as a family in a ceremony, including both of his children. I was so happy to finally have children and a family of my own. You know the old saying? If you make it past the first year of marriage, you have a book. Well, it was a tough one. We had joint custody of the children, and most of the time it was a fight. There was a lot of anger, family dysfunctioning. I was enabling Marty with his liquor and his alcohol. There was a lot of verbal and mental abuse on both sides. Also this year, I was diagnosed with severe depression, anxiety, lupus, fibromyalgia, and type 2 diabetes. And I was treated with medication, so that helped with my mental and my physical health. During all this, our children's mom and I did not always have a good relationship. We tried, but there was always he said, she said stuff. We live in a small town, and people talk a lot, and it's always problem. In 2010, our children came to us and asked and said they wanted to live with us full time. They were old enough to make that decision on their own. Needless to say, this was a very hard time in our home, trying to rearrange everything and having a big enough home. But all in all, it was a good thing. Also that year, I decided to pack up and move our family to Centre, Texas. It was a huge decision because the kids had gone to school in Pittsburgh all their lives. But our son wasn't getting the help that he needed. This move turned out to be one of the best things for our family, even though I was farther away from everyone I knew. Marty had a great job. This is where his career began in the oil field. 2011 I thought was going to be an easy year. But no, I was being cheated on. And this wasn't the first time. And our son and his girlfriend at the time came to us and told us they were pregnant. There were so many feelings and emotions that go along with that. So in 2012, was going to be a busy year. First, our very first grandbaby would be born in January. Then both children would graduate from high school in May, and then unexpectedly we found out the house we were living in would be sold to the oil field and torn down to put wells on the land. So we packed up and moved back to Pittsburgh. In 2014, the kid's mom and I were getting along fairly well, and she sent me a text and asked if I wanted to come celebrate recovery and check it out. She said, it has helped me, and I think it might help you too. So I took the offer and went. So as our families blended, there was a lot of playing both ends as a family by our children. They played me and their mom against one another. Sometimes we had really good relationships and we could get along and talk about things and do things for the kids together. We did church things together. We were able to do birthday parties, and then when our children started having children, we were able to go to our grandbabies' parties. But then that got hard too because they were playing us They were always trying to play us against each other. When I started CR, everyone told me the meat and potatoes of CR was getting into a step study. So when they had an opening for a step study, I jumped right in and started. When we got to step 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. I had a big list. So I began working on the family dysfunction because not only was it in my childhood with my family, but my new family had major dysfunctions that needed to be worked on. From there on, I would be in 5 more step studies. Step studies really make you open up your heart and your mind and to get rid of all the junk that you have been holding on to. In April of 2015, I made a huge decision to have gastric bypass surgery. When I started my journey to do this, my heaviest weight was 352 pounds. This was a very huge lifestyle change. A lot of people think that it's the easy way out. I'm happy with the health changes that I've made in my life, and the surgery, along with working my program one day at a time, has made my self-image issues a lot better. When I came home from having surgery, I was also having some female problems going on. I was bleeding and should not have been. I found out that I had the beginnings of cervical cancer. They quickly did a full hysterectomy and got all the cancer. Isaiah 4:10 says, "So, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not dismay, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you, and I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." So as time went on, my eyes opened to the fact that I was financially enabling my son. I would not ask my husband if I could give him money. I would just send it to him and not tell him. Then he would begin asking my husband for money as well, and he was doing it too. It was causing problems in our marriage and taking away from us doing things that we wanted to do to better our lives. So this is the next thing I began working on. In September of 2017, my husband took a job that would keep him in West Texas for months at a time. I would go on some weekends to see him, cook homemade meals for him, and then I would have to come back home by myself. I started noticing things were different. Marty had always been a drinker, but I was seeing that it was getting worse each day. He was missing work, even turning his phone off. And when he would talk to me, it would be short and to the point. Sometimes he would even be mean and cold. I struggled for months on whether I should separate from him or ask for a divorce. Finally, on our anniversary, he had told me that he had found someone else and he was happy. So I filed for divorce. At this time, I was staying in Warren Springs with my parents, but eventually came back to Pittsburgh to live with my sister so I could proceed with the divorce. This is one of the hardest times in my life because I wasn't only losing my husband, but I was losing my 2 bonus children and 6 grandbabies. My little family was torn apart. So I was going to file my final papers on March of 2020, and COVID happened. But I also got a text from Marty that read, "Please don't do this. I think we can work this out. Will you please let me prove it to you?" So I went back, but it didn't work. The verbal, emotional, and mental abuse continued to get worse. And also, the alcohol never stopped. It just continued to get worse also. So as I stand here tonight and I share my testimony, I am a divorced woman. God is moving and restoring things in my life day by day. I thought that this journey was going to be so much harder, but When you listen to what God tells you to do, you do it, whether you want to or not. God has really been working in my life the past 7.5 years. And along the way, I have also had a chance to partake in a weekend called Church Together. Which means 3 days with God. It was the most beautiful thing that I have ever been a part of. And since I went through my weekend, I have worked several weekends to be able to serve women. I have been clean of mess for 16 years. Enabling 2 years. God has helped me rebuild my self-esteem, my self-worth. And as you saw tonight, I received my 1-year check clean of marijuana. And though I struggle with different things daily, He is restoring my relationships, my trust, and my expectations of myself and others. I know since starting CR, God has really shown me that I belong, I have a calling and a purpose, and that I am His. Every day I wake up praising His name and thanking Him another day. I am so glad that I made the choice 7.5 years ago to come to CR, because this program works if you work it. So keep coming back and don't quit before the miracle. Thank you for letting me.